I would never make an assertion that we should just sit back and rest. Certainly, with respect to our county's finances, I think, as Andy mentioned a little bit ago, there was a period of time in the history of Lee County when we had done quite well financially and were able to set aside a great deal of reserves, which have been chipped away at over the course of a very difficult several years that we've experienced here. And now we're looking at solutions like taking money from the Conservation 2020 Fund to balance our budget. So, no, I don't think that we should feel comfortable. I think that we need to be looking for creative solutions to today's problems, but particularly with an eye to tomorrow's potential opportunities.
All right. Just pass it off to your left. There we go.
So the question was the state of our reserves, and are you concerned with the state of our reserves? So just to level set for everybody so that you know the state of the reserves in Lee County. So in Lee County, at the end of the budget year last year, they had $82 million in undesignated cash reserves. That represented roughly 20% of the budget. Well, when they trued up the books at the beginning of this year, they found out they actually had an extra $12 million that they didn't know they were going to get. So now we have $94 million in undesignated cash reserves in Lee County. That's 28% of our annual budget. I do think the board has to have a policy discussion on how much money we want to hold back in the bank, earning 0.5%, and how much of your money we want to actually put to work providing services for you in Lee County. I think the budget is critical. We have to build a budget that lives within our means and doesn't spend more than we make.
I'm not capable of sitting down answering questions. It goes back to a lot of judges in my life. No, we are not in a good place with our budget. It is inexcusable to stand in front of your citizens and say, we found some of your money. It is inexcusable for money to go missing. We have a great clerk. We had a great clerk before her. What we need, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, this county needs an independent financial audit, and this county needs a performance audit. If an audit is good enough for the Vatican, it is good enough for Lee County. We have to get control of our spending. It doesn't matter how much we lower taxes. If we don't control our spending and don't know where our money's going, we have no budget. And let me tell you, borrowing money from one program to fund another is just like stealing from another company. It is an unrepaid loan, and it is bad business. Thank you. Yes, sir.
In terms of the reserves, we do have a problem. We do have a financial cliff we're going to have to be careful of. But let me tell you 3 things we don't do. 1, we don't raise taxes. 2, we don't raise impact fees. And 3, we don't raid the 2020 Land Conservation Fund. I'm a big believer in supply-side economics. I know there are some revisionist historians that don't believe supply-side worked. It did. Supply-side economics works. When you cut taxes, you cut impact fees, people have more money, they spend more, the economy expands. The economy is not a zero-sum game, or it's not a game where the pie is one size and you divide it up differently. You expand the pie. And again, another way that you don't fix the problem is to raid the 2020 funds. That's almost a sacred fund for our grandchildren, and we need to make sure we invest in that land.